All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah, never.
What's up, guys? Welcome into episode 152 of the Missed Call Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Marshall, and alongside me is Ryan Sartori. Ryan, college basketball is back today. Woo!
Now, are you a college basketball fan from the perspective of a gambler or from the perspective of somebody who much rather prefers college ball to NBA ball?
Both.
Both.
And with that, I am an absolute sick animal when it comes to college basketball, Ryan.
Okay.
I am such a big college basketball fan. Last year, it really started. But my favorite kind of college basketball is when we use Hulu. Hey, shout out to Hulu.
Shout out to Hulu.
When I use Hulu and I am watching a game that looks like the coach's kid is recording, that gets me amped up. If it's like a Dartmouth game, Holy Cross, Long Island State,
and
Mississippi
you know it's
Valley
just one
State.
dude with a camera going like this.
Oh, yeah.
Just back and forth following the action. There's no zooms. There's no cuts. There's no close-ups. It's just one continuous back and forth stream.
I was so invested in college basketball last season that I was gambling on the NIT.
Oh, my
God. I was excited. My best win in my life is an NIT semifinal. North Texas, Wisconsin under.
That is like degen.
Do you want me to explain to you why it's my favorite?
Yes, I would actually. You can't leave us on a cliffhanger like that.
The over was in it was projecting to hit the entire game. As soon as it started, I'm like, this isn't gonna hit. The over-under total was set at like 115. I'm like,
okay. Oh,
I wrote an article saying this will probably end at 110 because both teams are slow, both have really good defenses. And Wisconsin sucked last year. And they suck in the second half. Whole game, they're back and forth. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is the dumbest bet I've ever had. They go 9 minutes scoreless. 110 was the total.
What?
110.
It
was 7 minutes. 7 minutes. I was like, oh my God.
Oh my God. Total points. You should have Did you?
I live bet it. I live bet the under. I had everything hit.
No, but I meant like, I guess maybe I misspoke. I was meaning like exact points.
Oh, dude.
Like guess how many combined points?
Oh my God.
Shit, you got to trust yourself, baby.
I hit that thing on the fucking dot.
We've got a lot to get into this episode, as we always do. World Series, the wrap up on that, some kind of remaining questions. On top of that, a bombshell of a managerial hire today for the Chicago Cubs. And we're also looking at the free agency window for Major League Baseball, too. Plus, a bunch of stuff happening in the NFL. And we've got some takes that on the NBA that might work best at the top of the show, Cub. We thought about throwing it in at the end, but with you bringing up college basketball, I think that it might be pertinent to bring up NBA and its in-season tournament, which kicked off last Friday. They're in the group stage of the in-season tournament. I've got mixed feelings about what the NBA and Adam Silver is currently trying to do. Because on one side of the coin, you listen to him do interviews and he's touting the fact that he's trying to be like other international sports, much like soccer, where like their goal is to do, their group play and their stuff like that, the Champions League, the whatevers, while they're also in season other places. And so I get it from that perspective of trying to elevate your regular season games, trying to elevate things happening here early on in the season, in November, in December, because typically these are not big earning months for the NBA and their TV and viewership and other things. NBA season doesn't start until January, really.
So I'll watch it in April.
Well, I've got my take on when the NBA season actually matters, but
April.
It's as soon as the Super Bowl is over and they get until pitchers and catchers report in my book, right? So it's like 2 weeks that matter in January.
They get when it matters. They get when it matters. The playoffs.
Yeah.
The only time anyone shows up to play the playoffs.
Very true. Very true. Anyway, NBA is trying to elevate some early season, regular season games. I get that. I respect that. Trying to maximize what you have. But at the end of the day, they're also creating something that I think most all basketball fans, NBA fans will deem as corny. Is that the right word? Or delegitimized, or like not important? Because, like, okay, let's say theoretically the Miami Heat culture, they win the in-season
Did you see the
tournament, Colby.
time out? Did you see those jerseys?
I did. All the jerseys that just came out, the brand new 30 jerseys that drop every single season.
You don't need that. You don't need that. You don't
Correct.
need that.
Correct. I agree with you. Forgot what my point was.
The Heat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Theoretically, let's say the Heat go and they win the first ever in-season tournament. What does the organization do with that? Do you hang a banner mid-season? Do you have like a celebration night where you like unveil some sort of rings? Like, at the end of the day, I think most franchises, all franchises, get laughed under the table for that, right? Like, if you have a big night and being like, it's not the Larry O'Brien, but it is the first ever in-season tournament. Like, we saw how much LeBron and the Lakers got clowned for winning a bubble championship. People still talk about it and
Which
how
makes
it's
no
not a
sense.
legitimate championship. So what are people going to do? NBA fans who I think are rather cynical, what are they going to do to the team who celebrates winning the in-season tournament? It's setting one of your 30 franchises up for failure.
Well, I can tell you right now that the Pat Beverly on the Timberwolves video will be going everywhere on Twitter. I'm
Right.
gonna tell everybody.
Dude, like,
I'm
yeah,
the
that
man, I'm
was
the
was that
man.
the Timberwolves won like
made the-
all
they made-
playoff
no,
game?
No, they made the playoffs.
They made the playoffs, right? And
Yeah.
Pat Beverly jumping on the scorers table,
You
and
can tell
Carl Anthony
everybody.
Towns is crying, and Jesus.
Now,
So
the WNBA has a similar thing, but it has incentives that I think actually matter to the players. Money incentives, like the NBA players make stupid money, like FU money. They don't care. Like the superstars don't even care.
I think
But
all of
the-
their money is guaranteed still too, correct?
I'm not 100% sure.
I think it is.
But the WNBA's, I think, is WNBA's makes sense and it works better because it's not like every game will have like the little commissioner's cup sticker and be like, this is a cup game, blah, 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 blah. And then usually the best two teams in the league face off right after in the middle of the season. And it's like the All-Star break, but not the All-Star break. And it comes back, it doesn't count. It's just whoever wins it gets the incentive. Like those players need the money.
Can we address that you've just created your own word?
What'd I say?
Incentive?
Incentive?
Incentive.
Incentives?
Incentives? Is it? Am I freaking out?
It has to be a word because it makes sense.
Incentives.
Incentives. I'm gonna keep saying the word.
Incentive.
I'm freaking out because I think I might be lying to you, but go ahead, continue.
You are the biggest gaslighter on the planet. I swear to God. There's times in this podcast where you said a word and I'm like, that is not the definition. And I looked it up and you were wrong. I don't remember the word, but you are such a gaslighter. Now, the WNBA, a lot of those players are feeding their families and they don't make as much as other leagues. We know this.
Sure.
Everyone knows this. But theirs makes sense because they also play every day and they have less games. So every single game matters because they're only playing a few games. The NBA, you are getting in the way of yourself. You are getting in the way of your product because your product is not good at the moment. Your players, they don't play. And you know they don't play because you made that rule that two superstars can't sit out, blah, 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 blah. Fix the issue. If you have to do less games, do it. Who cares?
Yeah.
How else are you going to get your superstars? Do you think they give a crap about this in-season tournament? No. I don't care what they say. They know what to say because there's PR people telling them, hey, talk about this. In the courts, let me go in the bathroom and throw up.
Yeah. That's another big part of it too, right? Like completely like disregarding everything about like the on-court thing and what's happening business-wise with the NBA. It's like the courts, it feels like they let a kid from NBA 2K create his own custom court. And like there should be some like pictures of like a Bella Danger or like Brazzers. You have you ever played like 2K? You know what I'm talking about?
A
Where, like,
Bella
they
Danger.
have, yeah.
You're in a Bella Danger guy, huh?
Well, no, but like I remember playing 2K and there
Oh.
would be like a Bella Danger at like, ass shots at like center court. And you're like, what the hell? I'm
Is
trying
that
to play
Kevin
basketball, not look at buttholes. So
Yeah, for the people that don't know, 2K, you can literally do anything
yeah,
on those
yeah,
courts.
you can download images and then use them on your basketball court. And typically they go unchecked. So you can put whatever you want on your basketball court in 2K. And that's kind of how it feels.
You can distract a 10-year-old.
Right. Right. If you give a 10-year-old a nude photo, I guess he puts it on his NBA 2K court. But like they're gaudy. They're too much. They're distracting.
They're loud. The word is loud.
Yeah, and so here's
the Bulls one. You are Kramer when they put up the Kenny Rogers the lights. That is the Bulls game.
Yeah, you literally must see red in order to watch a Bulls game. But like it's interesting because there's an element that 90s basketball had that has nothing to do with on the court stuff that was so authentic to the time, and it was their busy, loud jerseys, the Pistons logo across their chest, you know what I mean? The mountain ranges on the Utah Jazz, they had jerseys like that.
Today sucks.
But it also feels like an overcorrection for the court to be one like big ass like blob of red. I don't know.
We get those jerseys, the new jerseys every year, and they suck because they're like simple, but they're trying too hard. Like heat culture on a jersey. Who approved?
What is that?
Who approved?
Right.
You haven't done anything outside of LeBron and the big three.
And then you saw like the Heat's court. Did you see that they put like a quote in the lane? And the quote is from Pat Riley when he was he a coach of the Lakers or something? And that's when he let the quote out. And
probably,
so
probably a Knicks tweet or Knicks quote too.
Yeah. It's dumb. So bringing it back to basketball is you brought up the question. You're getting in the way of yourself.
We talked about last week with the NFL with the possible industry plants. This is a league that's getting in the way of itself.
Yeah, but how? Tell me about it.
You're trying to invent the wheel. You're trying to invent something, not invent the wheel, because this
reinvent
is just
it.
Or not. I meant to say
the
wheel, but this is beyond that. You're putting a championship at the beginning of the season when it still doesn't matter. What are we playing for? Nothing.
Right.
You're playing for a This is exactly how I view it. Do you remember when the Lions didn't win a game? Was it whatever year that was? They went 0-16?
2007? Because I think Stafford was first pick in 2008.
I think it's 08. 2008. We'll say it's 2008. That season, Ryan, they went 4-0 in the preseason. They had shirts that said we were number one in the preseason and then proceeded to lose every single game the rest of the way. Those T-shirts are the in-season tournament.
That's a yeah.
Those T-shirts
fair assessment
are the in-season tournament.
So I think we can have our opinions of it and also understand from a business perspective. Again, like they're trying to make these early season games matter a bit more when they know that they're losing in a slugfest with the NFL, which has taken the mantle from the NBA as like the fastest growing thing in America. Like NFL football versus NBA, it's the NFL by a landslide.
And go on top of that, college basketball is more popular than the NBA. You get more viewership on college basketball than you get
Right.
on NBA games.
And if you want to talk about viewership, look at Christmas. The NFL
Nobody
2 or 3
watches.
seasons ago, the NFL 2 or 3 seasons ago decided we're no longer obeying this unwritten rule that like we have Thanksgiving, they have Christmas. They said, we're going to schedule Christmas games. We're going to schedule Christmas Eve games. We're going to schedule games on Black Friday. We are going to own the market. If our product can be there, we are going to play games there. And it has, impacted the NBA in a way that like we saw coming out of Christmas time last year. They reported all-time lows in their viewership for their Christmas Day games, which is their flagship thing. Like Christmas Day NBA has always been a thing. I can remember watching Derrick Rose take on Kobe Bryant on Christmas Day and me wanting to make it appointment television to watch my Bulls in a primetime NBA game because it meant something then,
Yeah. I forgot what I don't know what day this was last year, but it was an important day for the NBA. I don't think it's Christmas because I don't think college basketball plays on Christmas. But it was somewhere in that region where there were more people watching college basketball. That one college basketball game that was on, I think it was Christmas. I think Marquette played, and more people watched that than the NBA games.
Well, Marquette was very good last year, wasn't they? Were they like a number 1 seed going into the tournament last year?
And lost, yeah.
And lost, yeah.
Classic losers. Classic losers.
Big 12 losers.
They're Big East.
Oh, that's right. Either way, I don't
The Paul's conference guy. Come on now, keep up.
So yeah, that's where we're at with the in-season tournament. And again, it is direct competition because the final game of this, the championship game for the in-season tournament, will be December 9th. So that
it'll be a
puts
birthday
them in a
present
situation where, oh yeah, that's right. That puts them in a situation where they, can go into Christmas Day and say, okay, we gained some viewership because of in-season tournament. Maybe, I don't know. I'm going to very much be interested in what their viewership looks like post in-season tournament, what they try to spin it as, even if it is poor. I think the last question I want to ask in this conversation, the NBA obviously must know that they're in some amount of trouble and slipping backwards. Is the NBA product still watchable, Colby?
Last year, no. This year, I don't know. Last year was the first time, like when the Bulls were good 21, I watched every game and I loved it. And then last year, I was watching it and I was like, why do I need to watch a game where I'm going to over-exaggerate. Why was there's going to be 400 points scored? Why do I need to watch that? I feel like every game last year was somebody won by 58 or it was 128 to 140. You know what I mean? Like there's a point where this is where the beauty of college basketball, in my opinion, comes out. Every team, doesn't matter if they're low-level D1, high-level, they all have different offenses and defenses. Some teams are very quick, very quick. They're up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Some teams are the slowest tempo that you've ever seen, and they just wait for the clock to run out, and then they find their shot, make their shot. And some teams are all defense. Some teams are all offense. That's the beauty, in my opinion.
Yep.
Like, we're watching North Texas. They're the slowest team in college basketball, but they're awesome defensively. There's some beauty behind that. And then every NBA has up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down,
It's the same issue when MLB teams started. I think I mentioned this last week. When MLB teams started to introduce analytics to their game,
it's very
that's
similar.
when we started to get the 3 true outcomes, your home run, strikeout, walks situation, and it made the game incredibly boring. The same thing might be happening right now with the NBA, where they've gone very analytical and there's far less variation to the game and how it's played at that level. Again, I know that you're not a big video games guy, but have you ever heard of like Rainbow Six Siege or the video game Overwatch?
The first one, yes.
Part of those games is picking your character and strategically trying to figure out how the pieces of your team are going to match up against the random things that the other team has, and then you battle it out and you make your adjustments and so on and so forth. Like, there's variation to it. There's different things that can happen because, oh, I chose this character, they chose this character, so it kind of cancels out, right?
Mhm,
But when
mhm.
you're playing a very similar style of team,
Group, yeah.
it's a very boring game, right? Like
Yeah.
there's not going to be the random dude who pops off for like 15 kills all of a sudden
Mhm.
because, you know, it's like, all right, I'm nullified by him, he's nullified by him. There's no mismatches. I feel like sometimes in today's NBA, maybe I'm incredibly wrong. I'm not super plugged into the NBA world. I'm only trying to make some sort of one-to-one comparison, and I'm really pulling at straws,
Also,
I feel, but
it's more of a, hey, NBA, pitch me why I should watch you. It's also like another part of me. Like, hey, why should I watch you when I just gave out good reasons why I like college basketball? Now, I think we're good with this NBA stuff. I have a
Yeah.
transition, though, that's still on this topic. We talk about how college basketball has different offense, defense, how they go about their game. The World Series has a similar thing this season. Arizona, not a power hitting team. They're very small ball, contact, yada, yada, yada. And people were saying this is going to be a boring World Series. You could say that still. I get if you do say it. But both teams were so different. I thought it could have went 6-7, but it didn't. But it's sports. You can't get always what you want. But I thought we had a pretty solid matchup. You had a team that could hit 58 home runs in one game, and then you had a team that could bunt their way to 15 runs.
You're right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That should have been the conversation surrounding this World Series the entire time. Some people chose to go a different way with it. We chose to talk about it this way last week. And I think that the Rangers winning the way that they did probably makes a pretty important point to other MLB teams about how to construct your roster moving forward. Because yes, you can have success with the contact hitting, great defense, solid contact team. But you need power. Plain and simple, you need power. We saw moments of it for the Diamondbacks during their run to the World Series. The Lourdes Gurriels,
Corbin Carroll.
Corbin
Alec
Carroll
Thomas.
had some flashes. Alec Thomas had a moment. Ketel Marte had a moment, right? Like
he had a moment every time.
They flashed it, but they never had consistent power. Whereas you look up and down the Rangers lineup. I'm not making some sort of astute observation. This is common knowledge. There's very few holes on the Rangers lineup, and all of those dudes can pop off for a home run whenever they want. So I think it sends a clear message that there is something to be said for the contact defense base stealing team. That will win you games, especially with where the MLB is headed with the new rules and stuff. But it's hard to beat a team who can put 4 runs on the board in 2 swings of the bat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they talked about it on I think it was the last game 5. They're like, these Rangers, they only do this in a couple innings a game. Like, they don't score. They're not 1 here, 1 there, 1 there. It's 5, 3,
right,
2. They're killing you in 1 big inning, and they're having everybody bat.
And they had enough of a bullpen this year to make up for it, which is incredible considering they used 2 pitchers.
Yeah.
They used Eovaldi, they used Montgomery, and they kind of got some
Monty
stuff,
didn't choke.
And they kind of used some stuff of Scherzer, but not a whole lot. And it was a very good showing from the bullpen. Eovaldi let his nuts hang the entire series, dude. He is worth every single dollar they paid him.
He is a masterpiece. Now, I think everyone saw the World Series. If you did, if you didn't, whatever. I think there's something that we talked about briefly, but we were waiting for today. Diamondbacks head coach post-game.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I got the quote. He said, I want to run away and hide for a few days. I want to go camping and just sit in the tent and suck on my thumb and eat ice cream. Is that the weirdest answer you guys have ever had? Now, in sports, we don't get answers like this too often.
No.
We almost never get legit, real, wholesome answers. He could be. He's being honest with us. We don't get that.
He's
And
being
it's
exaggerated, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
he's being very facetious, but he's also there's some truth behind it, and you can feel it.
Right. The willingness to not give we got to go into the offseason and get better, and the willingness to not give us coach speak and give us some sort of raw emotional answer was unique
Human-esque.
from Torey Lovello. Like that I thought was pretty cool. It stinks to get that emotion from a dude who feels like he has his heart ripped out of his chest, but it's still cool to have received that. And you do in that way feel for the guy. And maybe we have this hard time, I feel, of making sure that sports figures are seen as humans and not as deities. Maybe by showing more emotion and revealing things like that, maybe we'll get more of those hardo dumb sports fans, the ones not like us, to understand that emotions are real and a part of the game, and real human beings play this baseball game.
Because I'm sure somebody was pissed that he said that. I'm sure somebody was pissed. But if I'm a player, I kind of respect the answer. Like,
of course you do.
There's no way you can be mad at your coach for saying that when that's how you feel. At least you better effing feel like that.
Right.
Now a real person that wants to win and dominate does not just go, meh.
No, you feel it. You have a visceral.
You ever like, I know Derek Jeter doesn't give a lot to the media, but you mentioned 04, he wants to go throw up.
You saw it in some of the pregame coverage.
He
when
wants
Poppy
to go,
would bring it up.
He's literally like, shut up. Like,
he would like to fight David Ortiz in that moment. Like, if you go back and watch it, he would like to throw a punch at David Ortiz, but he's a little bit too important to get in a fist fight on national television. The other side of things, managerially, you look at
making up words. Here he is,
Bruce Bochy, and the fact that he was hired this past offseason by the Rangers. They pull him out of retirement. They bring him to be the manager of their squad, and he wins a World Series in year one. What do you do now? They obviously want to run it back. They want to win more, but like Bruce Bochy just went, that's all, folks. Like, that's what I got.
I have a question. I think,
what's up?
Is Bruce Bochy one of the most underrated head coaches ever? Managers, sorry, this is baseball. He's never talked about.
I think he's more well respected than given credit for. I don't know that we talk about him a ton, but like name a baseball manager.
5 World Series appearances.
3 wins. No, 4 wins.
4 wins.
He got 3 with, yeah, that's right. You got 3 with
5. How many coaches have gone to 5 that aren't Yankees?
La Russa,
Hall of Fame
baseball person.
People forget. Have his autograph. Thank you, Fudd.
Who's Fudd?
My grandpa.
Oh, okay. All right. Now I have to have the answer to this. So,
I mean, that's a good question.
MLB managers
that aren't Yankee managers. How many? Who is the most World Series appearances?
Appeared in 5 World Series.
Majority of those are going to be Yankee. It's going to be Casey. It's going to be Joe Torre.
Managers with the most World Series appearances in order: Joe McCarthy with 7, Yankees manager.
Told you.
Also tied for 7, Casey Stengel.
Yeah,
Yankees manager.
I told you.
Connie Mack had 5, and Connie coached for the Philly Athletics and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Bochy has 4 titles, has been to 5 World Series.
He's up there?
Yeah, Bruce Bochy has 4 World Series.
No, I'm saying he's that high on the list.
Yeah.
Underrated head coach.
Tied for 4th
Sorry,
in terms of World Series titles.
Underrated manager. Underrated manager.
Walter Alston of
No
the
clue.
Dodgers, who coached in the 50s. Joe
Cool.
Torre, Tony La Russa, Sparky Anderson. Like, you're starting to get into like the guys who have 3 titles now.
I think
but-
my answer is very sound.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is one of the best ever, and maybe that's why we don't do a whole lot of talking about him, because he's just, we already know, you know? I don't know. I think if you're Bruce Bochy, you're like teetering right now, like, dude, Cabo sounds awesome all the time.
Dude, congrats on the head. Like,
What?
he's got a big head.
All right. Just wanted you to clear it up. Final thing from the World Series, Corey Seager getting his last laugh on the Houston Astros is pretty fun, right? The
Screw
quote
you, Bregman.
after the Astros won the division and basically stole it away from the Rangers, the quote in the locker room was, everybody wants to know what the Houston Astros, or what's the Kanye quote? Everybody wants to know what would happen if the Houston Astros didn't win the division. I guess we'll never know. They popped off the champagne. Well, at the parade, Corey Seager had his last laugh saying, everybody wants to know what would happen if the Rangers never won the World Series. I guess we'll never know. And then walked off. And so Corey Seager, who again was affected by the sign stealing scandal and all that, Bregman a big part of that. I'm sure those two guys don't like each other very much. Had the opportunity to get a final in on the discussion.
Ha! Suck it, Bregman.
Moving on to other
Baby.
baseball stuff, because today free agency opens and the trade wires open once more for Major League Baseball. Things move quick in baseball. We get a short off season. We got to get guys in. We got to get guys out. But one of the biggest moves that we'll see all off season, Craig Counsell on the move, 90 minutes south of Milwaukee to the north side of Chicago. And the Cubs have a brand new manager, Colby. People can't see what you're doing.
I'm doing the Craig Counsell.
Okay, hands up high. So Counsell is touted as one of the top 5, top 3 best managers in all baseball, and has been consistently getting Milwaukee to produce and win divisions with significantly fewer resources than other teams in his division, i.e. the Cubs and Cardinals. And he has been super successful in what he does. Brewers don't want to pay him. The Mets go in a different direction. The Cubs swoop in, I mean, in the past couple of hours and say, you want $8 million a year? We'll give it to you. And they did. And now Craig Counsell, the highest paid manager in the history of Major League Baseball.
I think this is a good point for sports teams, we'll say MLB teams, to not hire their friends. Aaron Boone, David Ross, failures.
No, I wouldn't call David Ross a failure. He had to be at the helm of the ship. I don't know if the ship has a helm, but he had to be there managing a team through some really thin years as they tried to do a quick rebuild turnaround. He had to really deal with some odds and ends parts. Colby, 2 seasons ago, Frank Schwindel was the first baseman for the Cubs.
That's your GOAT.
No, it isn't.
All right, I'll give it to you.
The ghost of Carlos Gonzalez was playing right field for the Cubs 2 years ago.
That's kind of cool.
So I don't know that David Ross was a failure. I actually had a pretty visceral reaction both ways when the news came out. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome for the Cubs. Oh my God, Rossi. And I think there's probably something baked into that of like, you know, Cubs World Series dude. We've had some great moments with him. I genuinely think he was growing into being a very good manager. There was just some things, some little idiosyncrasies about the way that he would glom on to veterans and give them too much time to try to figure things out, i.e. the Trey Mancinis, the Eric Hosmers. There's so many examples of dudes that he just let hang around for too long and impact the early months of a season that you got to capitalize on. But at the end of the day, it's a great decision for the Cubs, but it's a heartbreaking move because I think a lot of Cub fans have a lot of emotion around this. But it's great at the end of the day.
I'm shocked because I always thought it was going to be Girardi that comes in and takes Ross's job because he works at Marquee. He's right across the street.
Yep. Yep. And thank God it wasn't, because Joe Girardi's a bumbling idiot. You've ever listened to him on one of the
He's got a ring.
He can have a ring all he wants. He had one of the best rosters ever assembled.
So did Boone, and look what he can't do.
Yeah. Have you ever heard him on one of the Marquee broadcasts? Oh my God, dude. You have to at some point next season.
Nauseating?
If he's still there. It's not nauseating. It's just the stuff he chooses to say alongside Boog Shambi, who's probably one of the, in terms of broadcasters and their application of knowledge to game and giving it to fans, and like the level of conversation that he has with you during a broadcast. Boog Shambi makes viewers smarter and wiser about the game of baseball.
Unlike Booger McFarland?
Unlike Booger McFarland. But like Joe Girardi will bring up some stuff mid-game that you can hear Shambi just go like, all right, this fucking guy. Like you can hear it. He doesn't obviously say it, but like you can hear him almost verbally be like, and back to the point I was making.
Hey,
So thank God it wasn't Girardi.
Remember when the Sox broadcaster was your Cubs guy?
Yeah, Len Casper. Do you realize the Cubs hiring council in the way that they did is pretty significant, I think. So they didn't ask to receive permission to talk to him prior to the November 1st deadline to like request permission to talk to a manager who's already employed by a team. They didn't ask for permission, which means they had to cobble things together over the past like 3 days or so in order to get this deal done. And when he didn't get the Mets job, the Cubs pounced and like paid premium dollar, but got their guy apparently, which I think is pretty cool to think about.
Yeah, Frank the Tank wasn't too thrilled that the Mets didn't get him.
I'm sure he wasn't. Did you see him today?
My friend did.
Did he?
Or my coworker ran into him getting off the bus.
Was he biting his fucking shirt? He's like, the Mets didn't get the manager, and
he stuck his tongue out, which is kind of funny. Here, I'll pull the photo up.
But so this has some impacts. Go ahead, show me. What do you got? He's got a penis hat on.
Raw dog. It's a hot dog. Come on. His thing of raw dog in it.
Sure. I'd like to hear of anybody who's ever let Frank the Tank raw dog it.
Talking about hot dogs. Stop.
In any sense of the meaning.
Oh
the hiring of Craig Counsell for the Cubs definitely impacts the free agency for the Cubs and for a lot of other teams too. Colby, we are getting ready to enter the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes.
I'll give you this statement, Ryan, and I read it this morning, and it made me go, the Cubs are the sleeper pick for Shohei. You can gloat.
What does that mean?
In sports terms, in my brain, it means nothing.
It means nothing. Like, okay, let me read this.
Nothing.
Like that.
It's
that,
because
like,
of him and what's his face? Who's your center fielder that missed that fly ball?
Seiya Suzuki, the right fielder.
They're friends. Cool.
Yeah.
You think he's gonna affect? You think Shohei wants? No offense to you. Do you think Shohei wants to ruin his market? His Japanese market by going to Chicago when he can stay on the West Coast and have Seattle. Now, Seattle would make a statue of him the day he signs.
Yeah, they would. But does Seattle have the ability to sign him?
When I was at the All-Star game, they were chanting it.
Okay, fair enough.
Hey, fans know more than me. The average fan knows more than me.
Jerry DiPoto is, I think that's the GM up there, but he is a wild enough dude that he could make something like that happen. I tweeted earlier today, @Sartori_radio on Twitter, that
the plug.
Yeah, why not? Right?
You're fine. Yeah.
I was going over the whole like Craig Counsell, how it affects the Cubs, what's in play for them. And I was like, Ohtani's a possibility. Soto's a possibility. Pete Alonso's a possibility. And this person responded and said, Yankees 90% have Soto. which it has the same meaning as the Cubs are a dark horse for Shohei Ohtani, because I tweeted back at that person. I said, unless it's 100%, like the Yankees 100% already have Juan Soto, then that means nothing. It means nothing to me. Dark horses, this, that, the third, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is who sat down and had a conversation with Shohei, who brings him in, and inevitably who 100% has Shohei Ohtani.
I think a more logical signing for the Cubs is Pete Alonso.
It is.
I think it's very logical.
They need a big, I don't say this to insult Pete Alonso's intelligence, but like they need a big, dumb, like just whammo type guy in the middle of the lineup that they haven't had since like the Bryant, Baez, Rizzo type dudes. And even those guys weren't like your 40 home run perennial hitters. Like
that's what Cubs fans thought Trey Mancini was going to be.
Yeah, that was misguided. That was, I like to call that a milk take.
Stop it.
Because it ages like milk.
Terribly.
Yeah. But yeah, they need one of those big, dumb, just blammy guys in the middle of the lineup. Pete Alonso's perfect.
Yeah,
for that,
you need a guy that only cares about the home run derby instead of the World Series. Right.
But
classic.
It's like, what do you have to give up to a Mets team that you already fleeced for PCA a couple of years ago? They're already like weary of you. They don't want to give you anything else. Why would they give you their perennial 40 home run smasher all-star guy in Pete Alonso? I don't know.
All I know is if the Yankees give up the Martian for Soto, I'm not watching a game this year. I'm lying. I'll watch.
You're going to watch all of them because Juan Soto and pinstripes would get you erectomungus.
But the Martian. I wish the team would. They have some over the years. They've had prospects. I wish they would mold them into a player that they want, like Judge. Mold them. Get some guys that are homemade.
He was born in it. Molded by the Yankees.
I watched that movie on the way to San Antonio on Thursday. It gets me going every time.
Still holds up.
Dude, hold on. I'll do it for you. Hold on. Was getting caught part of your plan? Of course. What is your plan now? To crash this plane.
Great.
They're going to need somebody in the wreckaging, brother.
And the award for best short take goes to, we'll have to, Colby Marcio. I really didn't want to give us
in the wreckaging, brother.
It's not even, you're not even doing like the accent. You're just covering your mouth and talking.
It's time to go mobile.
It's time to go to the 1 point rundown. Let's get into football. I'll start it off.
Good.
God. Buffalo and Cincinnati was kind of like the meme of the dude like reaching for the butterfly. Is this football? Buffalo 18, Cincinnati 24.
Kick on the 80s music, baby. Come on, baby. It hurts so good when you push my tush. Dallas 23, Philly 28.
Okay. The please put me out of my misery. This can't actually be the NFL. Game of the week was the Giants at Las Vegas. 6-30 was the final score. Also, celebratory cigars for your third win of the year. Probably not the right move, right?
A house cat tries to take on a half-grown horse and fails. Colts 27, Carolina 13.
That was very good. Tampa Bay at Houston. CJ Stroud, him. Buccaneers 37, Texans 39.
Did you know CJ Stroud has more passing touchdowns than Kenny Pickett? Tennessee 16, Pitt 20.
Look at that. How great was that? Minnesota's in Atlanta. Josh Dobbs, him. Also, Arthur Smith.
How many times are you going to say him?
No, that was him with a question mark. Josh Dobbs, him. Also, Arthur Smith can get bent. 31-28, Minnesota takes it.
Thing Chicagoans wince over. Ketchup on a hot dog and a Packers win. Packers 20, Rams 3.
Cleveland at Arizona. Clayton Tune, not him. Also, are the Browns actual contenders? People are asking because Cleveland shuts out Arizona 27-0.
Sam Howell at the Moon takes on McCorkle Jones. Washington 20, New England 17.
McCorkle. I always forget that's his name.
That's his full name.
Chicago at New Orleans. I'm always open to being proven wrong, but Tyson Bagent is also always open to throwing to the other team. Chicago 17, New Orleans 27. And that is the 1 point rundown. No, one more. Go.
There's two more, Buckaroo.
Oh, oops.
They were sleeping in Seattle. They were sleeping in their own beds, to be exact. Seattle 3.
I'm going to say something right
37.
here just to break it up so that you don't have to roll right into another one. And now you could say your other one.
9.
Oh, my God.
Miami 14, Chiefs 21.
What the fuck was that?
It was German.
What the fuck?
I didn't want to see. What I wrote down was German words.
You just screamed 9. Oh, God. All right. Let's talk about the NFL this week. CJ Stroud is the talk of the town. This dude sets a rookie passing record, 470 yards, 5 touchdowns, leads a game-winning drive with seconds left on the clock. I think the play that'll stand out for most people is that perfectly placed pass to Tank Dell on the left sideline to put them in scoring position. This guy is crazy good.
I did not see any of this happening. I was very anti CJ Stroud, and now I'm a Stroud boy. Stroud boy.
Stroud boys, stand up and stand by. This is an interesting situation. I was reading a stream of consciousness from somebody on Twitter who said that hopefully the excerpt that I'll take is that hopefully this is the end of like logo scouting when it comes to college football. Because obviously forever and always the thought process has been, well, Ohio State doesn't produce quarterbacks. And thus far you've been correct. But CJ Stroud looks like a certified stud.
Now, I have inside sources on Ohio State because I know people that cover and went there, blah, 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 and played there. My source said that he was a baby and is like, he wasn't going to be good. Like scared.
Is a baby? Oh, like doesn't like to get hit?
Yeah.
Well, then you know how you don't get hit?
Toss that sucker, baby.
Throw that bitch.
Now, what I said in the 1 point rundown about CJ Stroud having more touchdowns than Kenny Pickett career. Now, keep in mind, Kenny Pickett is in his second season. We're not even through CJ Stroud's first year.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud has 14 touchdowns. Kenny Pickett 13.
We're in CJ Stroud's first 8 games. 8 games.
And guess what? Guess who he's throwing to? Nico Collins.
Yeah.
Who? Come on, Ryan, say it with me. Who?
Yeah.
Who?
Well, I mean, some of these guys are breaking out for him, right? Like Tank Dell has been a beast this year, and Nico Collins has been very good this year. And when he's on the field, Robert Woods is like that surly veteran that you need for a young quarterback. Dalton Schultz has been very good. And so, you know, overall, the Texans are outperforming what everybody thought they would do. I think a lot of people were more curious about what Will Anderson would do in his first season. And I haven't even heard Will Anderson's name.
I think it's the market because, like, who the Jaguars get a few years ago in the first overall pick? Can't think of his name.
Josh Allen.
No.
The 21. Kid out of Georgia, right?
Yeah, the kid out of Georgia. They don't talk about him. It's the market. I think it's the market. We hear more about what's his face? Javon Carter and not Javon Carter. What's his name in Philly? Sorry, I'm losing my mind. Carter.
Jalen
Carter. I said Javon Carter. Jalen Carter in Philly. Like, we hear more about him because team's good.
I think you took Javante Carter.
No, who's the guy that plays
Javante
for the
Williams?
No. Hold on. I'm thinking of the Bulls guy, Javon Carter. Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Chicago's finest, Javon Carter.
One of the things I wanted to bring up about
Sorry.
the Texans, and then we can move on to another one, is it Dare Ogunbowale, the running back turned kicker all of a sudden, who not only hit a field goal, but hit a field goal in a high pressure moment to give
Game
Houston
winner.
the lead. It wasn't the game winner because Stroud had to go down and get the game winning touchdown.
You're right. I'm sorry.
But
You're right.
no, it's okay. But it was a high pressure situation for a dude who doesn't kick footballs. I read that was the first field goal converted by a non-kicker since Wes Welker in 2004.
How old were we? 8. We were 8.
7? You were 8? Or no?
You're older than me.
I was 9. Think. I don't know.
Well,
Victory Cigars.
You were born in 96. Subtract 2. We were 8.
Victory Cigars for the Raiders. Dumb. Very dumb.
I get it. But also, there's a small track record of when a new coach comes in that has no experience as being a head coach. Wait, yeah.
He wasn't.
He wasn't. What was he was before? Assistant coach or something?
Mm-hmm.
I was going to give him the Jeff Saturday treatment, but I take it back. I'm sorry. Jeff Saturday won his first game.
He did.
You get new culture, or maybe it's going to be better than Jeff Saturday. Obviously, I'm not trying to give Mr. Pierce any flack for this. He's definitely going to bring in more culture than Jeff Saturday, who came from the booth to coach. I'm just busting balls. But Max Crosby has the pass. Congrats.
Dude, he almost slipped in that promo video. That was nuts. Daniel Jones goes down with an ACL tear this week too. You had an interesting thought on that.
This will segue into our college football, but Daniel Jones out for the season. I think they go and get Caleb Williams in the draft. I think he wants to play at a big market. New York, the biggest. A team that needs a competent quarterback that isn't just going to run for his life. Chicago. And I think Caleb's their guy. Also, I don't want the Bears to draft Caleb Williams because I'm out.
Yeah, I think I am too. And it's not because he cried. It's just because I don't think that he protects the ball well.
He's too cocky to me. When the whole Max Duggan thing last year, and he tweeted out LOL, and then he goes and cries on national television to his mom.
Yeah,
I'm out, bro. I'm out.
I think to me, if you're the Bears and you're in a situation to take Caleb Williams, I think part of the problem with him is that he's a very similar dude to the guy you already have.
Except he's slower.
He's got some different things. He's got some different arm talents and abilities with throwing the football. But like Caleb Williams is a downfield passer, is an improviser. But like improvising at the college level doesn't always translate to the NFL. It usually doesn't. I don't think Aaron Rodgers was the improviser he is now that he was in college. I don't think he was. It was also a different game, but like, yeah. He's not going to have the same like opportunities that he does in college. People know this, but he also doesn't protect the football at all. He has fumbled more than anybody in college football since 2001 or something like that. Like he, in his efforts to get out of sacks and stuff, he throws caution to the wind. There was a play against, who are they playing this weekend? Was it Washington? And the guy came from the front side. It wasn't even a blind side hit. The guy came from the front side, and Williams tried to evade him, and the guy completely gave up on the sack and just went and smacked it out of his hands. And that was the game-altering play. I think it was a scoop and score.
It's tough to judge him when the defense is horrendous, I think. Because they're never in it against a good team. They're never in it, and you can only do so much. I think he has to do more. That's why he's fumbling, because the defense is doo-doo. Defense is doo-doo. Hence why they fired their defensive coordinator. Who knew they had one? Who knew?
Has there been a quarterback at the college level who we've known that was going to be like we thought for a long time he was going to be great, who then before his draft eligible season started to falter? Everybody questioned him. Is there a quarterback who then overcame that and then said, I'm great? Is that every quarterback, right? Like Bryce Young got some of that. I'm pretty sure CJ got some of that. Like there was some doubters as you went towards the ass end of their college careers. Maybe we're completely wrong. Maybe we're overthinking it, right? Like, but for right now, like I don't see it. I don't see it. There's more people that are leaning towards the kid from UNC,
Drake
May, than are Caleb Williams right now. And maybe it's an overcorrection. Maybe it's like he was never going to lead this team to a national championship because he never had the defense around him. Truthfully, I don't know that he has the offense around him. He doesn't have a very talented group of receivers around him. Lincoln Riley brought Jordan Addison with, and that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, they're at the point where we're just going to go back and forth with him and not know what he is, and we're never going to know till he suits up next year.
Right.
And that's if they call his bluff and he comes back because he's going to get drafted by the Cardinals.
If it is the Giants at this point going into week 10,
I like him on the Giants.
I don't mind him on the Giants. I think that Brian Daboll would definitely have some interesting things to do with him.
He would turn him into Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Before Josh Allen
probably a less durable Josh Allen. But as we get ready to go into week 10 of the NFL season, it would take either some losing and other things to go right for other teams, i.e. the Bears, Panthers, and Cardinals. And it would take obviously more losing in New York for a second-year coach. If that doesn't happen, though, they have to trade up. Do they have the assets to go up and get a number 1 overall pick to get their quarterback? Because whoever has that pick is going to be holding it hostage.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do.
I don't either. It'll be interesting.
I got a funny story I got to tell you since we're in college football. So we all know the Michigan thing, the Michigan stealing signs. Blah, blah. Hasn't had anything come out yet. The NCAA hasn't come out with anything. Why react, right? So my people in my family, my grandfather, I think he forgets that I work in sports, and I don't understand why. He's like, yeah, Harbaugh's gonna he's getting investigated by the FBI and the CIA or the FBI, blah blah.
No, he isn't.
And he's gonna go to jail. And he's like, he's gonna go to jail. I go, no, he's gonna be the coach of the Bears next year. That's where he's gonna go if he leaves Michigan. He will coach the Bears. And I'm like, I don't know everything, and I'm gonna wait until I see more stuff. And I'm like, I know Jake Butt, obviously, former alum of Michigan, is going to somehow back them. And he's like, sign stealing isn't illegal. Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, that's a bias. Some sort of bias there because that's your alma mater.
Right.
My cousin is a sophomore or junior at Ohio State. He goes, ask your aunt, her mom. He goes, ask her about all this stuff. She knows everything. Oh, you mean a mom that is reading biased information in Ohio State propaganda? Yeah, I'm sure to go ask her. How about I go ask Nicole Arbach, who is the number 1 journalist in this field? Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I get this sometimes too. Not to the same effect that you do, because you're actually in sports. I dabble in sports, but like, I'll get the occasional phone call from my dad, or I'll get my grandma. obviously me growing up being so invested in sports, she's gotten into sports too. They'll both hit me up from time to time and go, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "No, nope, no idea, don't know actually."
Let me ask my aunt, who
Yeah.
isn't close to the level of in the know that I am.
As your boy, right.
Please.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
Please.
it's an interesting scenario out there, though. I don't think that sign stealing is bad, but like sending a staffer on the sideline to dress up and like deceive others is probably not morally right, right? Even if it isn't like a written rule, like it's probably morally incorrect.
Let me see if I have the text. Let me see if I have the text. Because I'm a delete text guy because I don't like all those there. Here we go. Harbaugh says he has nothing to do with the signs, knows nothing about it. So how does this team profit? Because I said all teams cheat. That's what I said. He said, how did he know that they were going to run every play, blah, 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 and they know every play and they're just going to be waiting, blah, blah, blah. He said, talks about the Marine guy having special passes and stuff. The FBI is looking into this. No, they're not.
No, I don't think the
No,
FBI
they're
gives
not.
a singular shit, piss, or fuck.
Here it is.
About
Here it
John
is.
Harbaugh.
Your aunt has all the details. Will, as he speaks into his phone. So if I say something that sounds nuts, that's why it is. Your aunt has all the details. They will as lot things they did on social media, at college, etc. So you can probably find out from her, and you can go online and look at all the crap.
Hell yeah, Gramps. You got it all figured out, dog. You got it all figured out, Phil G.
He is Phil G. Come on.
Bad.
I left him on red. Well,
And
I'm not going to win.
should.
I'm not going to win.
Nope.
I'm not going to win.
One of my favorite things.
Good.
One of my favorite things in those scenarios is just to be like, okay, I'm on your team now. You win.
All right. I really need a laugh. I have nothing else to say. I really want to go back and listen to myself say 9.
All right. Well, you get to editing, partner. I'll see you for episode 253.
253?
153.
Oh.
I do that with my weight a lot.
All I got is missed calls on my line, yeah, never